You're listening to Radio Kidnappers, the voice of Hawke's Bay. This is a program called The Wonderful World of Wardini Books, and it's our pleasure, as always, to have in the studio Lou from Wardini Books in Havelock North. And I must say, it's always been part of what I like to do, is I like to hang out with winners.
Winner, chicken dinner.
And you're a winner.
We are winners.
Marvellous. Tell us about it.
Oh, it's the Havelock North Business Association run awards every year for the past 3 years, and we have won the village's favourite retailer again.
3 years in a row.
3 years in a row. So that's a huge compliment.
Must make you feel awesome.
It is. It's really lovely, and it's just so nice because it's all on public vote as well.
Mind you, I did say to you before we came to air that you guys are great. You're out there doing it. You're awesome.
We do try very hard, it's true.
You do indeed. Open 7 days a week at Wardini Books in Havelock North and in Hastings Street in Napier. 4 more great books today. And the first book is called The Story of Tantrum O'Furley.
Isn't it a brilliant title?
It's a lovely title.
So this is by Cressida Cowell, who wrote How to Train Your Dragon, which was made into a movie, a whole series of books for older children, and illustrated by Mark Nicholas. And there's a sticker on the front that says, winner of the Carmelite Picture Book Prize. I don't know what that prize is, but it's certainly worthy of prizes, in the same way that Wardini Books is, clearly.
It's nearly up there with you.
So this is about a family of stray cats, and they're tripping along the roofs, and their little kittens are hungry, and they say to Mum, tell us a story. She says, I'll tell you a story, take your mind off it. You know, we're going to have a story. And she tells a story of a good little kitten who lives with an old lady called Mrs. What's she called? Mrs. Worrykin or something. And little Smallpaw is bored because Mrs. Worrykin looks after Smallpaw so well, and he's not allowed out and all that kind of thing. And so she asks for stories, and Mrs. Worrykin says there's no stories in this house because only stray bad cats tell stories. So, of course, one night the cat flap is left open and little Smallpaw goes out, and she encounters this beautiful, it's described so well. She goes out, and there was a fine foxy animal in a bright red coat, and immediately think, oh no!
Dinner.
Who starts to tell a story. Yes, I'll tell you a story. I know lots of stories. Once upon a time, there was a delicious little kitten with fur as soft as butter who was bored of being indoors, and on it goes. And Smallpaw thinks it's a marvellous story and goes closer and closer and closer and goes out the cat flap and is saved by this awesome wild stray cat who then gives her a story of her own. And the punchline really is that the little family that go tripping across the roofs, it was that cat.
Oh, what's it?
And Smallpaw is allowed out at night now because she can handle herself a bit better, and she always leaves half of her bowl of milk for the stray cats.
I love stories with a happy ending.
Oh, it's just gorgeous.
That is a good story.
It's a lovely little fable. About all sorts of things, but it's just a good story.
Too right. And for littlies?
Yeah, so it's a picture book, and it will probably be for about 3 and up, I would say, because it's a longer story than some of your toddler ones.
Now, the next book is called The Imaginary Lives of James Pineke. Yeah,
this is a novel by Tina Makariti, and so a New Zealand novel, and it is quite a fascinating story of a Māori boy who is orphaned, and he goes to one of these mission places and is brought up by the missionaries, and so learns very good English. But he was the son of a tribal chief, but because of intertribal wars, most of his iwi were wiped out. And so off he goes, and he's taught by the missionaries, and then he becomes teenagery and rebellious, and he leaves. He's off to find his fortune, and he comes into contact with European people who are fascinated with Māori culture, and they want treasures taonga to take back to the UK and all that kind of thing. And he ends up leaving with this guy from the UK, and he becomes an exhibit himself.
Oh, really? Oh,
so
no.
He goes over to Victorian London and really becomes exhibited as a curiosity. And then he thinks this is all fine and dandy, you know, and he sort of plays to the crowd until he starts to feel slightly uncomfortable about it, and how he starts to realise that he really is selling himself out.
He's in a zoo?
He's in a zoo, yeah, that's it. And he hangs around with other people who are also in a zoo. So, you know, very little people and very fat people tattooed ladies and, the whole thing. So he meets these people that show him a completely different way of life. So it's just him finding his way in Victorian London, and it is quite fascinating. Yeah.
And how do you rate that?
It's a good 8 out of 10.
That is a good one.
Yeah,
yes.
It is a good one.
And you're listening to Radio Kidnappers, the voice of Hawke's Bay. This is the wonderful world of Wardini Books. Just to remind our listeners, Lou, we want to come and see you in either of your stores. Where are you?
We are 16 Tomato Road in Havelock North and 44 Hastings Street in Napier with a really nice new wide footpath.
You'll be pleased
that you can walk on and everything.
So it's completely finished, all those roads?
They're just grouting today, and then our bit will be done.
Awesome. Back to business as usual.
Yeah.
Tell us about Transcription. Sounds like a sci-fi.
It does, doesn't it? It's not. It's about some people typing things up. So it's by Kate Atkinson, and she's written all sorts of beautiful books and lots of people. She's lots of people's favourite author. But this is her brand new one, and this is about Juliet, who is a young lady in the Second World War who wants something useful to do, and she becomes a typist. When the intelligence services sort of worked out of Wormwood Scrubs and all sorts of places in London during the war, and she's kind of recruited into this sneaky beaky thing that's going on where someone's undercover recording conversations with Nazi sympathisers in London and pretending to be, well in with the Third Reich, and all these people getting very excited about it. And they're recording these conversations through the wall on microphones onto wax records, and then she transcribes the conversations, hence transcription. But she becomes involved in all sorts of weird and wonderful shenanigans, and we see her as a young woman, and we see her as a middle-aged woman, and then as an old woman. It actually starts with her being hit by a vehicle, and she thinks she's going to die, and then you go right back to the beginning. But she's just got this wonderful personality, Juliet, and Kate Atkinson does this so well. They aren't just characters, they are like people you know. So Juliet's she's got a sort of real louche attitude to life and a bit of an eye roller, and just,
yes.
Nothing, and she's quite complex. So, we enjoy seeing what she gets up to. Lots of sneaky beaky stuff.
I can imagine you rolling your eyes. Do you do that
I've been known to roll my eyes.
That's an interesting cover on the front of that.
This is actually not the copy that you'll see in the shops. I'm trying to remember what the copy you'll see in the shops looks like, but this one is a special advance copy for booksellers and reviewers, and so it's sort of got a gorgeous die cut.
I love it.
And that is actually typewriter art. So there's a flamingo, if you are not watching this. Yeah, there's specially commissioned typewriter artwork by Kira Rathbone, and so it's all letters that have been typed out to form the figure of a flamingo. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Couldn't draw it with a pencil, never mind the typewriter.
No, nor I.
And the last review is called Dancing on a Razor's Edge.
Yeah, this is a fascinating book. It's by Mandy White, a New Zealander, subtitled A Mother's Mission to Rescue Her Meth-Addicted Son. So it's extremely topical. We've been hearing a lot of scary stories about meth addiction and children being born to meth addicts. Yes. So Mandy has decided to write this story about her son's really long-term methamphetamine addiction, because she's trying to work through her own story, I think, and to find out why he became a meth addict, because you never expect that to happen,
No,
not my child.
I'm going to be a meth addict one day.
Well, or you wouldn't think that would happen to your kid, who you're quite proud of having brought up well. Exactly. So she finds him. He's moved to Australia, and she's in Indonesia. But when she actually finds out what's going on with him, he's malnourished and becoming brain damaged. And it's about her going over and getting him home and sorting him out with a great deal of love, and also finding out what the services in our country are doing for these people and if that's useful or not. So she's actually coming to our shop in Havelock North on, I better tell you when, hadn't I? Wednesday the 26th of September at 5:30. So she is going to come to Wardini Books Havelock North and talk about this book and about her journey.
Sounds depressing. Has it got a good ending?
Yeah. Oh, he's absolutely fine now. Excellent. And I think he is expecting a family sometime soon.
Fabulous.
Yeah, so a real happy ending. Yeah.
Love it. As always, Lou, our pleasure.
Oh, good.
Look after yourself. Same time, same place next week.
Cheers, Ken.